Good evening. Welcome back to Tropical Chatter, your go-to source for online information regarding the 2017 hurricane season. Let's jump right into it as we have Major Hurricane Irma bearing down on the northern Leeward Islands. This is a major historic storm system, Category 5, 185 mile per hour sustained winds. If I didn't say that clear enough, 185 mile per hour sustained winds with gusts over 200 miles per hour. A storm like this is almost unheard of in the Atlantic Basin. Besides the Caribbean, this is the strongest storm ever to form in the Atlantic. Second strongest storm on record, and one for the history books. As you can see, these systems just don't get much better organized than this one currently is. If you watched the earlier update, the ring of reds around the center of the storm was almost gone. It was going through an eye wall replacement cycle, and as I talked about, they would redevelop, and they have redeveloped almost completely around the center of Hurricane Irma. This storm is an absolute monster, and it's a force to be reckoned with. It's really an incredible system. Let's go to the National Hurricane Center 5 p.m. update. 8 o'clock, there would not be a new cone, so this cone will stay the same. As you can see, 185 mile per hour sustained winds. They had it moving west at 15 miles an hour. That is no longer the case. It is wobbling. It's more than a wobble now. It is moving west-northwest, still around 15 miles per hour. The northern Leeward Islands, you're going to be devastated. These likely would never be the same. Some of these islands are going to be completely covered in water. We're talking about 30 to 50 foot waves, 5 to 10 foot storm surge, up to 15 feet in some nooks and crannies. I'm not too familiar with those islands, but they're going to be completely devastated. Puerto Rico, hurricane warning. Northern Dominican Republic, hurricane warning. Southern Bahamas, hurricane watch. Puerto Rico is going to get absolutely smashed by this storm, absolutely devastated. The southern eye wall is forecasted to skirt right above the northern coast of Puerto Rico. You can expect in San Juan area and cities along the northern coast, expect gusts over 100 miles an hour, torrential rain, enhanced by the mountains, enhanced by the topography. Just an absolute terrible situation. Doesn't matter if you lived there for 50, 60, 70 years. For some of these islands in the Caribbean, in the northern Leeward Islands, you have never experienced a storm this strong in your life, and you never will again. I mean, flat out, there likely will never be another storm this strong in your lifetime. St. John's Island, St. Martin, British and United States Virgin Islands, batten down the hatches immediately. Preparations should already be finished, but if they aren't, you must finish them now. Now. Do not wait any longer. Now. Finish them now. 185 mile an hour sustained winds. If you get into the core of that system, there will be nothing left. If the core is coming over your house or your area, get in the lowest part of your house that's not, susceptible to flooding. Cover yourself up with mattresses, pillows, anything soft. The house may come down around you. That's how severe this system will be. Category 5 is 155 mile an hour winds. We're up to 185 mile an hour sustained winds. If you're in the core of the system, likely, everything around you would never be the same. It's absolutely terrible situation here. Antigua, Barbuda, it's just going to be a nightmare for you guys. So batten down the hatches. You're running out of time. You're pretty much out of time. And may God be with you all down there, because it'll never be the same, most likely. Further in the cone, I do not believe it's going to make landfall in Cuba. I just don't believe that's going to happen. Models are shifting away. Some are over here. Some are over here. The latest GFS, I'll show you in a little while. Actually, I'll just wait to get to that. It is farther away from Cuba and more in line with my thinking over the past 2 to 3 days. If you follow me on Twitter, you have an idea of what I've been, thinking and calling for. Follow me on there, StormForce_1. This is a major situation here. I'll be updating constantly. I do have some plans of chasing this storm. I have a couple options. One down here in Pompano Beach, a buddy down there. Family in Cape Canaveral and Rockledge. Guy is graciously enough to offer me his property in Palm Beach. It's just an amazing estate right along the water there. I don't know what I'm going to do. I have a feeling this storm could move up the coast a little bit more, South Carolina, North Carolina, after a glancing blow. I would possibly drive down to that area there if the storm is strong enough still. Pretty much from the Keys to North Carolina's Outer Banks, you need to watch this closely. Begin prepping. South Florida, I'm sure you've seen the videos, everybody. Gas lines are long. My buddies down there tell me that there's no water left. Food is getting scarce on the shelves. It's going to be chaos down there. The Keys are already being evacuated. I hear rumors, I don't know if it's true, Miami's voluntary evacuation starting tomorrow afternoon. I do believe that's a little bit early, but there's a ton of people down there. Go to Miami quite often. It's one of my favorite places. As most of you know, the high tide, the water is no more than a foot or two from coming over the bulkheads into the streets. It happens a couple times a year down there. A 15-foot storm surge or a 10-foot storm surge would be absolutely devastating to the city, and rival some of the damage that has been seen since '92. So just keep an eye out from the Keys to the North Carolina Outer Banks, and pray for the people in this area here, Northern Leeward Islands, Puerto Rico, Dominican, Southern Bahamas. They're going to need it, and once we get past that, all eyes will be on Florida, South Carolina, North Carolina, possibly Georgia. Not many options are off the table right now besides the Gulf. I do believe the Gulf of Mexico is off the table. If you're following me on Twitter, the Hebert boxes. If a hurricane or major hurricane passes through roughly this area right here, that's a rough estimate. I pulled up the boxes, but I already deleted the tab. Strong likelihood of a Florida or North Carolina landfall. Only 8.8% chance of getting in the Gulf, and it's about a 21 or 20% chance of getting in or out to sea. So really, the history says this will be a Florida or North Carolina landfall, and that is what I'm going with. If you're a betting man, you don't bet on 8.8% odds. You go with history, and history says either Florida or North Carolina. Of course, South Carolina is right in the mix, being a border state. So let's get through this. Go right to the 5 p.m. outlook and discussion. Hurricane force winds extend 60 miles away from the center of the storm, and tropical storm force winds extend 175 miles away from the storm. As more eyewall replacement cycles happen, the storm will grow in size, and I truly believe this is growing in intensity. We may hit 200-mile-an-hour sustained winds sometime tonight or early tomorrow morning. It's not out of the question. Recon just was in the storm and recorded a 917 millibar pressure, which is outstanding. And myself and many others believe this will get excuse me. Myself and many others do believe this will get below 900 millibars. It's been on the models for days. A lot of them didn't have it happening until Cuba or southern Florida area, but it may get sub 900 millibars by tomorrow afternoon, if not sooner. The storm is absolutely tanking out. It's like constant bombogenesis. It's truly it's amazing what's happening right now. So by tonight we could have 185 mile an hour sustained winds now. We could have up to 200 mile an hour sustained winds. I expect this hurricane force wind radius to extend out maybe 85 or 90 miles. And the tropical storm force winds will probably extend that over 200 miles by the 11 o'clock update, or if not, by the morning updates. So you do not need to be near the center of the storm to get major impacts. It's a wide, far-reaching, ferocious hurricane that needs to be closely monitored. If you're anywhere near the track, anywhere at all near the track, you need to know what this hurricane is doing. And that's the bottom line. It's a deadly storm. It will take lives, unfortunately. Let's get back to the visible satellite. As you can see, sun has set on Hurricane Irma. It's just an amazing looking system. Look at that eye. It's just perfect. Right on track with the Hurricane Center's forecast so far. It has passed over 17 north, and it is continuing in a general west-northwest motion that should take it right over one of them islands, and that island would not be there tomorrow morning or 2 days from now. It just will not be there. I have heard it's a pretty, scarcely populated island, which is a good thing. But for the people that are there, God bless them. I believe that's St. John's Island. I could be wrong with that. I believe it is. It's just going to be devastating for them guys. So let's get on to the next one here. This is the infrared. This gives a little bit better idea. This morning, all these reds were basically gone. It was going through a replacement cycle. They're back with a vengeance. It is one hell of a storm system. And I would not be surprised if some of these grays pop up, a couple hot towers popping up around the eyes. Max out the scale we have. The system's doing it in every other way, so why not do it that way too? Got my phone ringing here. Hang on 1 second. Let me get that off. I'm sorry, guys. All right. Back at you. Sorry about that. So I want to take you to the Hurricane Hunters, recon data here. They just made a pass not too long ago. I'm going to refresh it to see if any updates that came in. The latest pass a couple minutes ago was down 917 millibars. TropicalTidbits.com is one of the best tropical websites in the world. If you don't use it, use it. It is being absolutely overwhelmed right now and taking forever to load. Okay, here they come. They're coming back for another pass. By the end of this video, it should be nearing the center. I don't want to run it too long, but it should be nearing the center. See, they're coming right back for the eye around here again. So the first pass they had was 920 millibars. The second pass was 917 millibars. It's dropping like a rock, and I don't see that anytime soon. There's no inhibiting factors around whatsoever. No dry air, no shear, boiling hot sea surface temperatures. Tropical cyclone heat potential it's not off the charts yet, but it's high enough, obviously, for 185 mile an hour Category 5 storm. But it's only getting higher as it approaches Puerto Rico and Cuba. The possibilities with this storm is scary. It's absolutely incredible. As long as it doesn't run headfirst into land, into some mountains, there is nothing to stop this storm from continuing to grow in size and intensity. There's going to be fluctuations as it goes through eye wall replacement cycles. The eye expands. The pressures fill a couple millibars. After the eye wall replacement cycle is finished, the eye begins to contract again. Pressures drop rapidly. Winds rise again. You have a stronger storm than you did before the replacement cycle. It's done it dozens of times throughout its lifespan so far, and it will continue to do so. It's absolutely incredible what this system's doing. Thought there was another plane in the storm, but Tropical Tidbits is just being overwhelmed right now, and is not. There it goes. It's not really cooperating right now. There is another plane in the storm right now, but Tropical Tidbits is just being overwhelmed. There we go. Okay. So they just hit the eye. The drop zone is not recorded yet. I'm sure it's going to be, absolutely incredibly low. It's probably lower than 917. We'll come back to that at the end of the video. Here's the tropical cyclone heat potential. Been talking about this for a while now. It was on earlier's video. It's been on my Twitter for a couple of days. We are roughly in this area here, and as you can see, we're in like the first or second shade of yellow on the chart here, which is plenty high. Trust me, it's plenty high. It's already a Category 5, 185 mile an hour hurricane. What more can you expect? But as you get past Puerto Rico, over the DR, and into the Bahamas and close to Cuba, it goes to the very top of the chart. It's like jet fuel, rocket fuel, hurricane fuel, whatever you want to call it, is as high as it gets pretty much. As long as it doesn't interact too much with these islands, there is nothing stopping this from maintaining a 185 mile an hour hurricane. It's just an amazing situation, amazing setup. It's going to be a devastatingly damaging setup, and I wish it upon no one. But it's here. We have to deal with it. We need to be advised of what's going to happen and what's going to come from this storm. So I want to take you to the models here. 18Z GFS just came in not too long ago. So let's start that at 0. Excuse me, not feeling too good. But let's put this into motion. This is the surface pressure and 10 meter wind speeds So it starts off at 934 millibars. That's already, what, 18 millibars too high, give or take. So it's stronger than this already. Won't affect steering too much though. So here it comes in. It comes in a little bit farther north off Puerto Rico than previous runs. This would be great for Puerto Rico. It would just be tropical storm force winds and torrential rain. You miss out on the core. You miss out on the hurricane force winds. This would be a great run. I do see it as possible, but Irma would have to get north awfully quickly. I believe it'll be a little bit closer to Puerto Rico than the 18Z GFS is showing. As for the rest of the run, I do believe this is a plausible track and outcome. It's going to be a lot different than you've seen on the TV, and a lot different than you've seen from the models all day today, all day yesterday, as they were all keen in on South Florida and the west coast of Florida. So it brings it up through the southern Bahamas. It rakes almost the entire chain of the Bahamas. But look how far off Cuba it has it. It has it well off Cuba. The Euro, on the other hand, which I do not have loaded, but I could probably pull it up pretty easily, has Irma way down here in Cuba. Saving grace for Florida if that happens. Absolutely saving grace. I do not believe that'll be the case, though. So let's continue putting this into motion. We're at about 4 days right now with Irma. All right, let me see what's happening here. Oh, great. Okay. So, yeah, we're about 4 days out, and it is already making that northern turn. Trough is dipping down lower. High pressure is backing out just enough for this to make this turn about 6 to 12 hours earlier. 6 to 12, possibly 18 hours earlier than previous models have shown. GFS has been, doing this a little bit more than the other models. Earlier runs bring it up like this, a couple bring it up like this. GFS has been on this a little bit sooner than the other models. I tend to believe this will be probably the outcome here, but you're just impossible to know. So it pulls up, it avoids a Florida landfall altogether and just destroys the Bahamas. Absolutely. Category 5 monster hurricane, 883 millibars as it's passing the northern Bahamas. Destroys them. 20, 25-foot storm surge, 150, 180 mile-an-hour winds. Again, this is not a forecast. This is what the 18Z GFS model is showing. If things become clearer and more models come into agreement, yes, it will become the forecast. But for now, this is one model run showing one outcome that I happen to think is very possible. So if we put that into motion, we're at 5 days now. It's right off West Palm Beach, Florida area, north of Miami, south of Cape Canaveral, somewhere in that area there. Still, tropical storm force, almost hurricane force winds battering the coast. This is going to be a huge system. If you were to superimpose this over the central Florida, hurricane force winds would extend from the west coast to the east coast easily. No question about it. Put this into motion. We're right at day 5 now, right off Cape Canaveral, Florida. Monster category 4 or 5 hurricane. And it just absolutely slams this into the South Carolina, North Carolina border. I've been talking for days on my Twitter feed. This is what I think is going to happen. I think a glancing blow off southern Florida into the Carolinas is the most possible outcome. I was getting a little nervous. Not nervous, but, thinking about changing what I was thinking because, the Euro is the Euro. I mean, when it's showing a landfall over here consecutively, you start to believe that's going to be the case. And when a couple other models showed it, you start to believe that's going to be the case. But for now, I'm sticking with the current thoughts. I'll pull up my impact map from yesterday that I posted yesterday around 12 noon, maybe 12:30. There's just so many options on the table. The Gulf of Mexico's just about out of the realm of possibilities. You're going to hear people talk about it. Who knows? It could happen. History says 8.8% chance. I would not bet on those odds. But I would bet on a Florida or North Carolina landfall 100%. So let's move on to one or two more things before I wrap this video up. Okay, that disappeared. Let's see if I can get that back up. And it's not going to load. There we go. Michael Ventris. Microwave image. I showed another one earlier today in the earlier update. Absolutely stunning representation on the microwave imagery. Doesn't really get much better than this. Perfect eye wall. Some extremely strong storm showing up in there. It just doesn't get much better than that. I mean, look at that right there. Tops the charts. It's incredible. It's absolutely incredible. And I will pull up my impact map one last time before we wrap this video up. This is from yesterday morning. Pretty much the Keys to Cape Canaveral to, I would extend that a little bit farther south now than I did yesterday. But Savannah to the Outer Banks. These are the two impact zones. Right there, the two impact zones. You gotta watch these areas here. Storm's likely going to come up something like this. And does it go up? Does it come like that? Or does it come up like that? Is the $1 million question. Again, follow a trusted source, and God bless you all.